This is a slightly impromptu podcast compared to some of the others that I've done before because I've had a few weeks off. And the reason I've done that is I actually needed to give myself a little bit of time off. It's usually around about October time, especially with the podcast, a few things that I'm releasing, bit of work that really needed my attention. I was getting a little bit overwhelmed and I needed to step back, and I've had a bit of time where I may take a little bit more time to gain guests, to figure out topics that I wanted to bring onto the show and things like that. But something that is obviously poignant today is that it's Mental Health Awareness Day. And while every day is Mental Health Day, because we all have it and we all experience it, and we must nourish it, strengthen it as individuals and as a collective. But I wanted to share an experience that I've been going through recently, which is that I have been taking up therapy. And I have taken up therapy because of an understanding of what I needed to do for myself and how I needed to show up for myself. I wanted to do therapy because I felt that when I was helping people in my work, I'm trying to teach people and coach people through what they're going through, and I'm showing up for them. I'm trying to be the best version of myself for them. But one of the things I was unable to do was show up for those people around me, the people that I really cared for, and I ended up turning up with an empty cup there, and that's just not who I was. It's not the person that I wanted to be and the character that I know I am. So I wanted to do this, and something I've wanted to do for actually quite a while now, but I felt I hadn't met the right person. I hadn't met the right therapist that I thought I would really jump in with and engage with. I had many stereotypes with what therapy might be. Coming from sport, it's really easy to see someone seeing a therapist as broken, and we throw that label onto them and that this person is in trouble. And I don't see myself as in trouble. I feel right now I'm coming from a place of curiosity. I've done some work on myself. I've taken myself to a certain stage of my life where I just felt I couldn't do it on my own anymore. And more importantly, I actually felt I could do it on my own, but realized I couldn't. I think we easily get caught up in thinking that the help that we need is something we can just fix ourselves. And I definitely fell into that trap because I felt if I'm coaching people, then I should know this and I should be able to do that. But it's not that simple. We sometimes need that person to help us through our challenges. That's why I do the work I do, because I'm helping other people go through their challenges and get to the results and the outcomes that they want and the type of person they want to be. And for me, I didn't have that. I've had a coach that's helped me with my sport, that's helped me with my skills, that's helped me with everything. But no one that's actually taught me through my emotional side, what decisions I made in the past, what has got me to the place I am right now, and why I am the way I am right now, and why I'm unable to access certain parts of me the way I want to. And in order to do that, it needed someone else. It needed someone else to be there to guide me through that, to lend a hand, to lend an ear, especially to start to ask the questions and point me in the direction that was going to do that. And I was scared to do it to begin with. I was really worried and scared to get into that. And I thought, if I go down this route, it's going to say a certain thing about me. It's going to make people think that I'm not worthy enough or I'm not good enough because I'm taking this step that can be wrongly put in a certain light in society. And all of the reasons that I've just listed and many more were holding me away from it and holding me back from actually taking the plunge and actually going into it. So this podcast is purely to give people a bit of insight into why it's important, into what it actually involves, and sort of the feeling that especially I'm getting after. So I think in sport, we are subjected to environments that can be tough, very challenging. And while those environments create many positive outcomes for us, they do come with some consequences. For me, the environments that I was in put me in a place where I either came and showed up from a place of anxiety and fear, and then over time, doing that over and over again and hardening myself to those environments, toughening myself to deal with them, adapt, to strategize my way through it, has built mechanisms and behaviors in me that I have noticed I was not uncomfortable with, but I was not feeling like those behaviors were who I really wanted to be. It was not me at my best. In a previous episode, I spoke with Tom Mitchell, former England Rugby Sevens captain, and we actually spoke about how sport can squash your authentic self. And I think that was happening. I think that was really happening, and had probably happened over so many years that the person that I was looking in the mirror at was really just a character that was close, but it wasn't the real authentic me that I wanted to be, the one that was completely carefree and not worrying of other people. And by no means am I anywhere near that. I'm on the beginning of this journey. But the part of therapy was really about bringing someone in to uncover parts of me that perhaps I was missing, and guiding me through to get to that end goal, which was this version of myself that I really wanted to be. So I held off from picking up the phone or texting and reaching out because I just felt I hadn't met the right person. Serendipitously, I met this person and therapist that I've now engaged in work with, and I'm really thankful for them. I'm really excited by the progress that we've made, even only in a few sessions, but more importantly, understanding what it actually involved and what it is and what it's not. And I think it's important to know what it's not first, which is that it is this stereotypical view or image you might put in your head of just lying on a sofa and telling your deepest, darkest thoughts straight away, and tears flowing and everything being a very emotional process. And then while that might happen for many people, for me, it was purely two people having a conversation, talking through what's happened recently, where you're at right now, and there being moments of it being uncomfortable, but moments of it being really comfortable, and just talking to someone as if you've just met them and getting them to understand you. And the most important part about it was them reflecting back what you had told them and helping you challenge the thinking or unpick where that may have come from, maybe even empathize with just what you're going through. And just the simple cathartic process of being able to talk. And this is where the conversation around mental health, of being able to talk and opening up about talking, is so important. But actually doing that process and then discussing it, where those decisions came from, what might have caused them, what sort of mechanisms you've built up from behaviors over and over again through time. The simple process of being aware of them and talking it through and coming to that awareness is 50% of the work done in being able to get to a place where you can start doing something about it. I have just uncovered that. I have just started the awareness process of some of these mechanisms, which I kind of thought I had and knew, but having someone confirm it and say it back to you, and then also be there alongside you to help you, guide you through, is so powerful and so helpful that now I feel in more control of myself and the direction I'm going. I feel prouder of the direction that I'm going to be going and excited by what it could do for me. And all of the worries of what people might say about me, in what it means that I'm going through therapy and doing it, I don't see it as anything like I'm broken. I don't see it as I've weakened myself. I purely see it as I have not been going to the emotional gym that I needed to go to, and I am now got my membership, and I'm turning up from that place, because while I look after my body, I have strengthened my mindset in certain areas. My emotional and parts of that psychological space have not been nourished, and I've not been feeding it and actually needing a coach to guide me through. And in sport, you will have someone who has taught you how to move, how to pick up weights, go to the gym, do all your training physically. You might have had a coach that's taught you technically how to work, told you tactically how to think and the processes and decisions that you can make. But have you had someone coach you through your emotional capabilities and your emotional experiences that you're having, how you interact with yourself and how you interact with others? And so that's why this podcast is about encouraging you to engage with that emotional thinking. It might be for you starting with conversations with friends and loved ones, and that could be the beginning. It might be that you take a step on trying to develop your mindset. Maybe you're working with a psychologist. Maybe you work with another coach that you just trust. Or maybe you actually go through the door of a therapist and you talk to someone. And to do that, you've got to be wanting to do that. I wouldn't go down the road of forcing yourself or feel like you're forcing yourself down that road. But if you feel confident enough and open enough to do it and ready enough, then that could be the time that you do it. A friend of mine told me that it does take time to figure out who the right therapist is for you. I've had friends who have chosen many different therapists. They've had to work their way through it the same way you might have to work with a different physical trainer that just doesn't work. You have different coaches that you work with, and some you get along with better than others, right? But at the moment, I'm pretty happy with the person I've met, and I'd had conversations with them before, so I got to know them a little bit, and I felt like they were the right person. This is not an experience I've had where I didn't know them to begin with, and I didn't really know they weren't necessarily an out-and-out friend. It was someone I was meeting and I bumped into. We had great conversations, and then I just asked them this question: would they be willing to work with me? For you, it might be working through a few people in order to get to that place. And by no means am I talking from some expert opinion here on therapy, but only talking from the experience of someone who has walked through the door right now and comfortable with walking through that door. And I haven't told many people about this, and this might be for a few people listening the first time they've ever heard it. And I was worried about what people might say, but at the end of the day, I am confident that this is a decision that is good for me. I don't feel there's any harm that can be done. There's no harm in doing it. And just by being able to say I'm taking care of myself in this element, I feel better about myself, and that's a good place to begin. So this podcast was purely a shout out to whoever's listening, that if you have been thinking about it on Mental Health Awareness Day, that it is okay to step through that door, and you can do it. And it takes courage and bravery to get there, but I promise you at the other end, it's an experience that I have strong belief that you will feel comfortable about doing it, or you will feel better about doing it, and that the actual practical side of it is maybe not as scary as you might think it is. It's not as daunting. It is simple. It is helpful, and it is not whatever stereotype you might have on it that is negative. I promise you it will not be that. No one I've ever seen that's gone to therapy has come out of it and been like, well, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. They're always surprised. They're always thankful for doing it. I've never really met anyone that's gone to therapy and said it was a bad decision. But it's all of the reasons that we give ourselves before we go through the door that stop us from taking that step. And what if that step that you could be taking could unlock a part of you that you have been wanting to unlock and have just not had the opportunity to do it, and you've not given yourself the opportunity? So be brave, be courageous, go take that step, because you matter to take that step. And if you don't want to just do it for yourself, do it for the people that you are showing up for, like I did. That I want to show up for you guys listening. I want to show up for the people I work with, for anyone I'm coaching mindset through. I want to make sure that I am in a place to show up for them at the best of my abilities. And this is a part of my life in which needs coaching through, it needs strengthening. And the only way to do that is to work with someone, because I don't have all the answers there, and I need someone to help me through that. And if that message alone can help you, I really hope it does. So that's everything for this impromptu podcast, and we'll get back to regular programming in the coming weeks. I'll see you guys soon.